Thank you for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am music producer Achickwitbeatz.
And entrepreneur Breezy Gipson here.
And we're glad that you're with us and tuned in once again. So, we got another good show lined up for you. Of course, we have music industry news, and then we'll chat about an undisclosed topic.
Yeah, truly undisclosed.
Yeah. So, we'll chat about that a little bit later on as well. And I'm just kind of excited to get to it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because, that's known as an industry tease, where you tease the listeners and tell them what you're going to do, but you don't do it. They have to stay around and listen and watch until they can figure out what it is, that topic represents.
Yes, absolutely. So stay tuned. We got a treat for you. And so I think we should just go ahead and jump into some beats and then get right to it.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. It is business. Big business. Big business.
All right, and we're back with music industry news. So, okay, this one is kind of funny. Well, to me, probably not the people that actually bought records from them, but the label that's supposed to be for audiophiles, Mobile Fidelity, but called Mo5 for short, Sound Lab, is being sued for using digital in what they had claimed were all analog vinyl reissues. So, so a North Carolina man decided to start a class action lawsuit against them, saying that he's bought so many records from them with the understanding that the entire process was analog. So the suit, so the suit claims that Mo5 intentionally kept their use of digital process a secret, and they hid this fact from their consumers so they could, kind of pose as high end. So, I mean, not to say that there's no quality in digital, but if you're advertising something, you should be actually doing what you're advertising. And if that's the only reason why customers are paying a premium price for a higher quality product, then, how can you skimp on that? It's just wild.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Wow.
So caveat emptor, buyer beware. Yep. Not everything is the way it seems.
That's right.
All right, and this is pretty awesome. Tidal has launched a music school, courses for kids, beginners in history, musicology type thing. And so the content in the new music school learning hub will expand their playlist series, highlighting origins and the history of music and instruments and the different sounds that came up through history and how they shape today. And so it's going to be featuring curated editorial content designed specifically to expand knowledge and appreciation across multiple genres, with the playlist being refreshed and expanded on a regular basis. So, hey, that's good news. Anytime, anybody's doing something to educate the masses about music and, educate about history and kind of the technical sounds and all the different instruments that have come into play, that's always a good thing. A lot of people. Go ahead.
I got to interrupt you. You know what? You in that last story, you used the phrase caveat emptor. Now, when I was in college, I was taking business law. They taught us that phrase, educated us about that phrase. Okay, I use it all the time. I'm glad you just did. But in the masses, in the workplace, in the social media place, every time I use that phrase, people don't know what I'm talking about. So now we need to if we're here to educate, I'm glad you used that phrase because I'm willing to bet you right here and now, the majority, if you hadn't explained what that meant, the majority of the listeners, they wouldn't have known. And that's not good.
Right.
Okay, so when we boast about educating folks, this is the place to be. And so let's before we get to the next news story, music business news story, let's talk about caveat emptor just for at least 60 seconds. Okay. Now, to educate our listeners. Now that's a Latin phrase that came out, hundreds of years ago. And for people today not to know what that means, let the buyer beware, right?
Yep.
Okay, and explain why the buyer should beware.
Well, basically, whoever's doing the selling is just like, hey, I'm trying to make money. So that means that you need to beware because they could be trying to pull one over on you. We see it happening with these music labels all the time. Matter of fact, just about anybody in the industry, there's so many people looking to get over. So if you're buying something and you're putting your dollars behind it, you need to be aware of what you're actually purchasing. So it's a major thing. What's the phrase you say all the time? Inspect what you expect. Yeah. Let the buyer beware. And so,
very important that we stress that to our listeners. I mean, it's extremely important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And let the buyer beware in everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, the authenticity of products, the authenticity. What if those products are using faulty ingredients?
Yeah.
What if the creator is making, like you're saying with the lawsuit, the creator is making claims that may not necessarily be authentic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you want it, so you come and buy it, and what you're buying is tarnished goods that aren't really what they said they were. Okay,
Yeah.
look at designer purses, designer clothing.
Mm-hmm.
In the music industry, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of folks like designer clothing. They feel like it makes it adds some gusto to their eye appeal, whether they're men's suits or whether they're purses or shoes or dresses or whatever. There's some powerful lines out there that come from some powerful designers, but when people sell this, they're selling. Some people are selling stuff that's not authentic.
Yeah. And you know what? So we were talking money wise, but exactly what you said about some people are selling stuff that's not authentic. The caveat emptor could actually apply to what you buy into. So even if you're not investing your dollars, if you're spending time giving energy to people who are, supposedly selling you these pipe dreams that they're not really trying to help you achieve or attain. First thing that comes to mind is what happened with the voice actor that voiced FN Mecca, the augmented reality AI rapper or whatever. So when they approached him about voicing the rapper, he was excited because he was a rapper himself. So, if this video that's going around is accurate, if this is really the guy, which I totally believe it is, but if that's the case, so he said that he was excited because he was thinking, okay, we'll go ahead and do this. He did what he needed to for them to be able to replicate his voice, and they started ghosting him after that. So he bought into the hopes that they had given him that they were going to help launch his career, just kind of help it expand, and he was going to blow up, when really he wasn't even going to be a part of the equation. He said he never even saw a check. He didn't even get paid for it. So yeah, you still have to be careful what you buy into, even if you're not spending your dollars. You just got to be careful. There's a popular quote from, I believe it's Bertrand Russell, where he said, life is but a competition to be the criminal rather than the victim. And it's such a messed up principle, but there are a lot of people that really operate that way, especially in the music industry. So yeah, you got to be careful.
Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. Wow. Well, it's just impactful. I mean, important that we share that impactful tip about let the buyer beware. Or in this case, it's not always, like you say, the dollars going out. It could be your time put in. Oh my gosh.
Because either way, you're buying into something, whether it's with cash or with your time. So, yeah.
So now, how would you suggest a person, if it's time, how would you suggest a person validate whether that situation is truly real?
Oh my. That's a really great question. And I can't even begin to pretend that I have the answer because I've been duped so many times that way. But, one of the shortcuts that's kind of worked for me is to pay attention to how they treat their own career and whatever it is that they're after. Pay attention to how they approach you. So, for instance, I don't do free beats. Anybody that's ever visited any of my profiles, they know that. I make beats, not the free kind. So it doesn't mean that I still don't get approached about it. And I'm not knocking anybody that's okay with doing free beats. If that's what you want to do what you want to do. But the issue with this for me from jump is that if you don't care enough about your craft to invest in it, If you won't even buy a beat, then I know you're not going to pay for marketing. I know you're not going to pay for what you need to do to be able to, properly promote it. And marketing and promotion is not tagging all your friends on social media. There's way more to it than that. So if you already don't understand how valuable my time is and that I deserve to be paid for it, that's strike one. So there's not really anything else you could say to me past that point. So yeah, like I said, I mean, just kind of operate, like watch how people operate within their own circles for their own business. And if it doesn't hold up with what you're looking for, don't waste your time.
There you go. Well said. Well said. There you go. And you're not by yourself. Hey, I'll raise my hand. I've been duped right out of the box in the music industry. Way, 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 way back. And I was duped out of some music in the music business industry. Okay, so, these days you gotta inspect what you expect to the 12th degree.
Yes.
And, a lot of folks are legitimate folks in legitimate business, but then there's some that aren't. So you got to inspect what you expect. You got to look for referrals. And again, just like she said, look at them to see how they treat their own business. And never rush. Hey, this isn't a rush thing. Most of the time, it wasn't a rush with you getting your funding, your money. So don't let it be a rush for you to get rid of it or put it, in chance of losing it. So, you need 24 hours to sleep on something, fine. You need 48, you need a week to sleep on something, fine. Better to do that than to hand that over and you got nothing back.
And that's a really popular strategy that a lot of those that are on the take like to use. So, they do use that time crunch. My guess, and this is totally my opinion, that does not reflect the views of these stations or owners, but I think that's probably how the voice actor for FM Mecca got caught up. He was probably afraid they were going to move on to another rapper. So yeah, anytime somebody comes at you with this opportunity that you have to decide right now and they don't give you any time to think, you should probably kind of raise some eyebrows and just beware.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of different industries, but the folks practice the same thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And so you just got to you're the buyer, let the buyer beware. I mean, that's some good education right there.
That's a very, very important. I'm glad that we spent some time on that because we're seeing this all the time on social media where people have been gotten this way. And, if this happened to you, don't feel bad about it. Just make sure you take the experience and learn from it and apply it in the future. So,
yeah, right.
But
right.
Just like Breezy said, every industry has them. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once whether it's on the phone or was it in person, I mean, there's some folks out there that are extremely good at putting pressure on you in person.
Yeah.
Where you got to do this, you need to get this, you need to buy this, you can't do without having this. How much better are you going to be with this right here? So you need to go ahead on and cop this from us. Because hey, so and so's got it. Well, how do you know so and so's got it?
Right. But anytime it's one of those, I need an answer right here, yes or no. If it's like that, then I'm probably gonna say no. So if you don't want to give me time to think about it, then it must be something you don't want me to realize. So take your time.
We holler at you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we really need to get into this once a month, once every couple of weeks, because there's some folks that are our listeners, and we G down to different levels of what's going. Matter of fact, the listeners, you can send in some topics for us to discuss if you like.
Absolutely. Yeah,
do you know how to reach
you want
us?
to know more about? Yeah, we're here to help. Just
That's
because
right.
there's so many people who are not trying to help we're hoping to be the light that kind of offsets that for you.
That's right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I feel good about that.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so for right now, what we're going to do is take a pause for the cause, and then we're going to come right back with some more music industry news right here on Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson.
more music industry news. This kind of goes along with what we were just mentioning before the break, but Triller has raised $300 million already this year to date. How interesting is that?
Man, look.
You pause like you know the second half of the story, don't you?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
$300 million.
No. So okay. Hey, we're ready. How'd they do that?
Okay. Well, how they did it is by getting investors to recognize that they're doing something special. If you notice, anytime they're mentioned in the news, they call it TikTok's rival, blah, blah, blah. But the second part of the story is what have they done with this $300 million? Because now Sony Music is suing them. So we shared with you a couple weeks ago that Timbaland and Swiss Beats were suing them over verses because they stopped getting paid. And then, yeah, boom, here comes Sony. So the details of this, Sony says that Triller has historically failed to make payments on time. And then in March of this year, Triller failed to make any monthly payments at all. So they're owing them millions of dollars. For months, Sony said that they've tried to contact Triller, saying to pay their outstanding and overdue fees, but received basically radio silence in response. So on July 22nd, Sony said, yeah, they notified Triller, you're in breach of contract. Still nothing. And then they finally went ahead and terminated the contract on August 8th and decided to sue just this week. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here. We've been sharing a lot of stories about how they've been trying to go public for a while. And, first deal fell through, second deal, something else kind of hindered that. And then it was actually supposed to be taking place. They feel like it should be closed by the third quarter. But with all these suits and stuff popping up, I'm not sure if it's going to be flowing as smoothly as they expected. But to have a huge influx of money like that and then not even pay who you owe, what's happening here? So I don't know what's going on with Triller, but they better get it together soon, or the next story might be like, hey, Triller just went bankrupt and so might not get paid off. So I mean, just crazy scenario. I don't know if you've ever watched the CEO, but I've seen him do like little videos or reels, and he seems really educated and like he knows what he's doing and what he's talking about. So once again, that's the type of stuff that makes it easy to get duped, because you watch his confidence, he's saying all the right words, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of easy to buy into. But what's happening? Everybody that they've made these huge contracts with, they're saying that they're not getting paid. So once again, what do you always say? Inspect what you expect.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this story kind of serves as a warning word to the wise. Be careful, no matter how good it looks. Man, but at least they have contracts to protect them. That's something that a lot of independent artists kind of overlook. But yeah, this is bananas, and as more information comes out about whatever's going on with Triller, we'll be sure to share that with you.
Okay, so now you touched on something. Indie artists. Okay. You're trying to get your thing together. You got a little bit of talent, or you might have a lot of talent. Okay. And your friends or people that don't know you, that give you compliments. Hey, what are you doing with this? Are you going to go somewhere with this talent you have, and so on and so forth? Okay, that's fine. It happens every day. And so, but as you go forward with that, that's where right here on the show, we always say, okay, put a circle, will add some validity to your circle of friends or acquaintances, or you got to protect yourself. You got to put somebody in there, not just one body, a couple that you really can fall back onto for professional and experienced advice.
Yes.
So when you hear or use that talent indie artist, it doesn't mean that you are out on the limb all by yourself. If you're the true indie artist, you are going to surround yourself with some people in different ways that can help you with what you're doing, especially protect you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for the listeners that don't know, indie does not mean by yourself. Totally, indie, you can be an indie artist and still be surrounded with professional people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There you go.
Virtual mic drop right there.
There you go. There you go. And don't be afraid. You know, don't be afraid to put your foot in the water, your toe in the water.
Yeah.
If that water's too cold, I understand. But still, when you bring it back out, you still got to take time to research and find folks that you can surround yourself
Yes.
with. That can help protect you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes, you know, you love Uncle Joe, you love Aunt Susie. They used to sing, they used to perform. The same environment when they used to perform ain't necessarily the environment of today.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yep. Well said.
They may be giving you great advice from 2001.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
which was good then,
Mm-hmm.
but not in 2022.
Oh,
Just my thought. Just my thought.
that's a very, very good thought, because I've experienced that where people have said, well, my guy from such and such said that it was okay to do it this way because he used to work with X, Y, and Z. Sounds are different. Like, yeah, things aren't the same as they were. So, I mean, it's good to know the history. It's good to be connected with people like that. But yeah, it's definitely not the same. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And instead of uncle or aunt, if that's your grandparents or somebody's grandparent that was a star in 1986, 1996, it's just a different metaverse.
Yes, there you go.
It's a different metaverse right now.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Sure. All right. Now there is a powerful music fraud investigation tool. So, Beat That, I hope I'm pronouncing that the right way, but their co-CEOs say, and this is a quote, fraudsters are becoming increasingly sophisticated, building complex networks that spread their activity across multiple streaming services. So by leveraging big data and intelligence and cross-platform analysis, Beat That helps the industry uncover fraudulent activity that might otherwise be missed by a digital service provider or distributor. So this is one of those things that's going to help combat whatever your favorite streaming service is. Let's say you go to, I don't know, Amazon Music and you feel like listening to some Redman. So maybe you type it in, you see he's got a new song out and it's like, oh, dope. You tap it and it's somebody completely different. So this is something that happens, you know, across all platforms. I've seen it happen everywhere with the exception of Pandora, but I can't say that they haven't had issues. I just personally haven't witnessed it. But yeah, it's a commonplace thing to where people will kind of mess around with the data so that way they can get the fans of someone else. So once again, people spend so much time trying to figure out how to cheat the system. You know, it's good that they're actually working to put something in place to prevent that and prevent music fraud from happening.
Well, you know what? I'm going to contact the A&E network about you. You are like your own sheriff's department. You're like a business intelligence department because you be checking, man. You it's like you scrub for validity. When you find something that's not valid, you don't hesitate. You share it with the listeners right away. So, you know, we're going to connect you with a higher level and get you on there with like some of these mystery shows where they're talking about mysteries with deaths and things like that. We're going to be talking about mysteries with business.
Yeah.
Okay? You're going to be right in the middle of that.
If you're listening, A&E, I'm game.
Yep. Ooh, some good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So now Apple has launched the new Platoon for Artists app after they acquired Platoon back in 2018. So Platoon was a music industry startup, and we were expecting big things to come. They kind of sat on it for about 4 years, but now it's they've got it going, and it's designed to help up and coming artists manage their careers with social tracking, reporting features, and more. So any tool that kind of gives you the data that you need to be able to build upon what you're doing, or even make adjustments if necessary, is always a good thing. So, hey, if you're an indie artist out there looking for that type of stuff, make sure you check out Platoon for Artists.
There you go. Write it down. Jot it down. Text it. Put it down digitally. When Achickwitbeatz gives you tips like that, don't overlook them.
Absolutely.
Don't be the one to say, now what did she say that day? No, you write it down now so you can fall back and research on what she's saying.
Yeah, great. And Deezer, which is a popular music streaming service, not really so popular in the US, but in other places, they're testing the meditation app. And so it's supposed to be for well-being, and it's going to feature content for guided yoga, meditation, and inspiration. And so right now it's available on iOS, but they're working on an Android version. So hopefully it won't be too long where everyone can access it. But that's a really, really good thing that they're doing. We've shared stories about where other companies are trying to do the same thing to make sure that people have access to things that can kind of help them meditate. I mean, because it's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world. And a lot of people say it's kind of been like that since 2016, which may be true. But it's good that there are more spaces offering things like this. And shout out to our former guest, Fire Free, who's been on a couple times, but she's got a guided meditation CD as well that you can kind of check out on SoundCloud. And so yeah, make sure you check that out, because we get her back on here so she can give the audience some first ups on that. Let's do that. Well, we did have her on, and that's what she was kind of promoting then, so make sure you still check that out. But yeah, so it's a really good thing. We've had people on our show to talk about how important mental health is, and we can't stress that enough. So here's another tool for you to use if needed.
Yep. There you go.
All right, and my Groove or Bad Grooves app is saying that they're the next app that's going to reveal your new favorite artist. And so basically they're trying to fill in the gap from, what happened when Pandora started, where you kind of got a little more independent artists in the mix than you do these days. But so yeah, now they're trying to correct, and this is a quote from the CEO, that a lot of music recommendation services pick their suggestions from a small artist pool, since their algorithm is based on popular artists. So, a lot of people already get eliminated from that just based on how they build things. So their goal is to correct this and go beyond mainstream, so that way people can find like new and fresh stuff. So the owner or CEO had actually said that, it's kind of like a Tinder for music. So if you hear a sound you like and swipe, it'll give them an idea of who to show you going forward in the future. So keep an eye out for that. All right. And the U.S. music publishing industry generated $4.7 billion last year, but the recording industry grew twice as fast. So music publishers saw their wholesale U.S. revenues go up by $700 million last year, but record companies and distributors saw their wholesale revenues go up by more than double this figure at $1.8 billion. So 700 million versus 1.8 billion kind of highlights a gap that people have been complaining about. So the people on the front end are actually seeing way more money than the actual songwriters and the people who do the composition behind the scenes. So, we've shared that there's some bills that have been brought up, and we kind of got to wait for the slow wheels of justice to turn as far as that go. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But that is a huge, huge difference because as far as publishing goes, somebody had to write those songs, somebody had to compose them. So why isn't that part growing as quickly as the rest? The whole contract issue thing again, like, yeah, something to be aware of.
Wow. I mean, it's almost like they got spotters out watching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they got spotters watching to see what's good, what's on the forecast. Hey, and they report back to them, say, look, over here they're doing this, why don't you consider doing this too? You might make some money. And then they go and do it, Mm-hmm. And so the average person doesn't have spotters out there like that.
Yeah. But yeah.
In the hood, we call those informants. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, 700 million sounds really good. But then once you hear what the other side made, then it's like, well, something's up here. Yeah, one of these things is not like the other. So, yeah, it's just something to be aware of. And that concludes the music industry news portion. We're going to take a pause for the cause. And then we'll be back with our special topic regarding rappers and their lyrics. Stay tuned.
Okay.
back as promised with our mystery topic that we had mentioned earlier, talking about rappers and their lyrics and the whole judicial system and what's going on with that. So Breezy, why don't you shed some light on it for the people who may not be following everything that's happening as far as what's going on with lyrics and court cases?
Yeah, well, there are some really, really strong cases that are going up. There's some deep thought and suggestions being made that's newsworthy concerning whether the fact that if an artist actually goes out and commits a crime and then jumps into the studio and they make they cut some tracks about that using the actual steps that they took in committing that crime. Okay, and then putting it out for sale for everybody to purchase and then make money off of that. Oh man. Okay, see, that's a whole different ball of wax that's been opened up, you know, and Achickwitbeatz has actually schooled you in the past about some other artists that are doing things like that. But now, you know, this is 22 in August 22nd. I'm dating us right here, but there's some truly strong criminal cases that are taking place. And the question has been brought forth. Hey, they made a record. They told all the details of how they committed a crime. They told all the they made a track saying exactly how they committed that crime, and now it's out for sale, and they're profiting from that. That's some deep stuff.
It really is. It really is. So, you know, the first really, really big one that kind of comes to mind is what happened with Bobby Shmurda all those years ago. So where, you know, he said, starts off the song with "Caught a Body About a Week Ago." That's what they used to convict him. So, you know, even though they've got all these different things in the works to where they're trying to keep rap lyrics being used as evidence in trial, it's kind of like one of those double-edged sword type things where, you know, first of all, if you want to do the music, stay away from the other stuff as much as you possibly can. If for some reason you can't, don't give the details on wax. So, I mean, maybe these bills might pass, but I mean, the way the system is set up, you gotta believe that they're probably still gonna find a way. So, you know, one thing that comes to mind is MF Doom's famous, you know, rap snitches. You know, don't get on your song talking about everything that you did, especially if, you know, what you did was illegal. Just maybe use some creative license instead. And, you know, if you're out there doing dirt, don't broadcast it. Don't actually give them everything on your songs. But at the same time, I still support the bill being passed just because of the simple fact that they don't do that with any other genre. So, you know, you never see a rock star on trial for talking about beating his girlfriend or something like that. But, you know, with rap, it's a lot different. So, you know, I'm just saying, if they're going to do it, it should be fair. But also, if you're going to be doing dirt, don't spell it out. Just don't.
Right. I mean, and don't have me playing and spinning it at a party.
Right. Right.
You know, because I'm in that case, you know, I'll be promoting what it is that you did in committing a crime. You know, I don't want to do that. I ain't doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fair to the victims and so on and so forth. And it's not fair for me to help you track your income by me promoting what you did when you know that it was wrong in the first place.
Right.
And don't come to me and thinking that I won't find out. You know, I'm you know, there's a phrase, you know, what's done in the dark eventually comes to light. So I'm not the one to, you know, for you to attempt to pull a wool over my head, my eyes, in a manner like that. You know, and there's a lot of folks that feel the same way that I just mentioned too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, you know, if there's some kind of victim out there that suffered in an incident, don't come to me wanting me to promote that, because I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And, yeah. And there's a lot of folks who won't do it either if they knew what it is that you did and what those lyrics really mean.
Right.
Now, back in the day, I remember, you know, and everybody remembers the lyric just about of 187 on an undercover cop.
Yeah.
You know, that discussion came up then.
Yeah.
That discussion did come up back then. Okay, so, you know, if you don't know what I'm talking about, get on Google and research that lyric, that line. 187 on an undercover cop, and you find out what that means.
Yeah.
And so, so this topic that we're talking about now, it didn't just come up today. It's been around. What would that be? 20 years, 25 years ago?
Oh, I think we're pushing up on 30.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a while, and just in case you're not familiar with it, of course, that was Snoop. And after that got brought into question, he changed his style. He didn't keep talking about that stuff. So if you look at him now, it was something that he did and used to speak about, but now doesn't do that. So, and you can see how much success he has, in present day. We've got stories about him almost every week from something new that he's doing. So, yeah, I mean, if you're out there doing stuff, don't go snitching on yourself. If you're not doing stuff, don't go promoting something that you're not even doing. So, yeah, it's a business, it's an art form, but, you do have some kind of responsibility for what you're putting out there, the energy that you're putting out in your music. So, yes, that is our special topic. We'd love to know your thoughts. Feel free to weigh in, comment, hit us up on social media to share what you think about the whole scenario.
Yeah, and then following up after that, if you think you bad and you think you got your stuff together and you think you deserve a spot as a special guest on our network, this isn't just a show. This is a network. This is a podcast. This is global, worldwide. There's a whole lot of folks in a whole lot of different countries, and it's been tracked. There's a lot of folks in a lot of different countries that listen to us and support our show. So if you think you're bad enough, meaning if you think you're good enough to be a guest, contact us. And no matter where you live, we got ways to make it happen and to educate the masses about the good stuff that you're doing. Okay? So reach out through our IG page or to Achickwitbeatz Breezy Gipson individually and let us know, because we know you're out there. And hey, this might just be the hook that you need to hear. Mm-hmm. This might be the line that takes you from being timid and turn you into terrific. Okay, and so you need to have people hear you. And let's a long time ago there was an album came out called "Let's Take It to the Stage." Okay, well let's bring you to the stage. So reach out if you think you're good enough, you think you're bad enough, and you think you deserve it. Reach out to us, and we'll see what we can do to make that happen. Right?
Yes, absolutely. From timid to terrific. I love it.
Yeah, we help turn you from timid to terrific, because with all the guests that we've had, we've heard a lot of stories that they've shared with us, and some of the guests they've known that they had talent, but they just needed that little push, right? Mm-hmm. And they needed somebody to stand beside them and push them into the spotlight so others can discover the great talents that they have. And so we here, we believe in, when we come across some positivity, somebody's got a positive story to share that can inspire others, educate others. Oh, we're going to put you in the spotlight, okay? And in a meaningful way. So, hey, we've helped others do it before, and we're still doing it now. So, hey,
yes, 100%, yeah.
Hit us up.
So yeah, it's about that time. Man, this hour just flies by so quickly. But yeah, we really appreciate you tuning in and listening to us. And a huge shout out and thank you to our home stations, Grander Radio, broadcasting out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio, broadcasting out of Denver, Colorado. And so I just really enjoy this. I love being able to share this information. We love your feedback as well. So you got some information you want to share with us, let us know. And yeah, until next time, right?
That's right. And what's that phrase you say?
You know where to find us. Tune in, tell a friend. We'll see you then. Peace.
Peace.